Synthaholics. It's the Red Tribal Podcast.
Welcome to Synthaholics. This is your host, David Duncan, and with me is the intrepid...
Bound for the agonizer booth, Aaron O'Brien.
The intrepidly bound for the agonizer booth, Aaron O'Brien.
I can't wait.
I mean, if you get the same problem Lorca does when he goes into those, if you've listened to our last episodes, you know what that problem is. It might be a good problem to have.
He seemed to enjoy it, and so did his crew.
A year and, 200-something days? So
212 days.
Better part of 2 years.
Yeah, they were in agonizer booths for 1 year and 212 days, or at least a good portion of time in agonizer booths. Yeah, you can't tell me those people aren't fucked up for the rest of their lives.
Does it just hurt you, while you're in it, and then it just completely goes away and completely stops?
I don't know. Well, in case you're wondering what we're talking about, we are back again with the newest Discovery. We're covering the episode What's Past is Prologue, and this is Season 1, Episode 13. Oh, it aired January 28th, 2018, yes. What did you think of this fun-filled episode, Dave?
I was, so non-spoilers to begin with, I was kind of surprised by the way it went. I can't really say specifically about what without getting into spoilers. But just going back from the last couple episodes, I definitely thought they were going to be in the Mirror Universe for a couple more episodes, and that may not be the case.
No.
It was a good episode. It was really exciting. It was well done. It had it was on the edge of my seat the entire time. It was really, really good and really intense. And almost maybe the most Star Trek-y feeling episode we've gotten so far, I think.
You think this is the most Star Trek-y? Interesting.
We got a captain or acting captain's log, which, we've only gotten one or other two logs in Star Trek. So, when you get something like that, and we got to see more of the Discovery this episode. So it definitely felt a little bit more Star Trek-y and doomsday device thing. It sort of felt like some of the Star Trek movies, like some of the TNG movies a little bit, where there's a doomsday device.
Yeah, right.
So it did feel like Star Trek movie feeling Star Trek-y.
Interesting. Yeah, it did have a little bit of a movie feel to this episode.
What do you think?
Yeah. Non-spoilers, I enjoyed it. Very action-packed. It very felt like space opera-ish kind of version of Star Trek at this moment, but definitely had some fun with it, and there were some pretty exciting moments, I think, and still leaves you with a lot of questions at the end, but
always with the questions.
Yeah, right. But I enjoyed it, and it was a good episode. There was a couple things I would have changed slightly, but nothing major.
Yeah.
So, should we get into full spoilers?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Well, as I said, this is the What's Past is Prologue, Season 1, Episode 13, airing January 29th, 2018. This is written by Ted Sullivan, so...
Yay, Ted Sullivan.
Ted Sullivan wrote this episode.
He's all over on Twitter posting pictures of Jason Gorn. You should follow. You should follow him if you're not already following him.
I do follow him. I get stuff from him all the time. I don't know. I didn't set a Twitter alert for him, but his feed pops up constantly.
Yeah. Oh, but also listeners, you should check it out. He posts all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah, he definitely does, for sure. So, we start off the beginning of this episode. Lorca is talking to his foulers, and he's freeing them all from the agonizer booth, and we can see them all kind of gelatin mass slowly emerging from those shower stalls that they've been, in excruciating pain.
The most uncomfortable shower ever.
Yes, it's like the hottest shower you ever took. And then turn cold really fast. And then hot again.
And then we see Landry. And I was hoping, because we saw her in the trailer last week, and I was hoping so much that the Landry that died by the tardigrade was Mirror Landry, because of how much of, she was kind of a dick for a Federation officer. And if she was from the mirror universe, that would make perfect sense since Lorca is. So,
but Landry's Landry's a dick throughout all universes.
She actually seemed nicer in this universe, oddly enough.
Slightly, but I don't know.
Considering she's been in the agonizer booth for almost 2 years. Not that.
Yes, but they've been in those agonizer booths or in the brig somehow for 1 year and 212 days. So that's insane. Landry says that we should retreat and regroup before trying to take over the Empire. But Lorca says, "Don't worry, I got a plan."
You think I came back all the way back here without a plan?
I had 1 year and 212 days to work on this plan.
So has he been in our universe that long?
I think he's been there for a long time. Yeah, I mean maybe not the full amount, but
because that's what I was wondering. Like, so has the war been going on that long, or was the Baran's destruction that long? But the Baran's destruction had to have been within the war. Because I didn't realize the war had been going on for a year at this point. I thought it was still under a year.
I don't know. Of course, the Klingon war. How can you tell? They just did like montages at best.
Well, they didn't even do montages. They just were like when an episode began, it's like, oh, we've made great progress in the Klingon war, and then here's an episode that has nothing to do with the Klingon war.
Yeah, right.
How they did most of the episodes. So it's really hard to tell. I mean, we know there was that like 7-month gap between the episode 2 and episode 3.
Right.
But beyond that, it's hard to tell.
Right. Well, so after Lorca frees all his followers, they head out to Stamets' laboratory to find Mir Stamets, where he's hiding on the ISS Charon.
It's funny that Stamets in this universe also didn't get along with Lorca.
And we find Stamets is hiding in some kind of holograph little closet. But Lorca finds him pretty quickly, and he says, "Hey, Stamets, you're the one who sold me out to the Emperor when I was trying to take over last time." And they explain next that the Emperor's ship was caught when they caught up with them. He fled into an ion storm, and the interference caused a transporter malfunction that sent Lorca to the Prime universe.
Where have we seen ion storms and transporters go wrong before?
Yeah, exactly. And so Lorca coming over had nothing to do with the mycelium network. I just want to know how he got onto a transporter pad when they're ready to, fight the USS or the ISS Charon. It seems weird.
I just don't understand how how come he was the only one beaming over to the Charon, A, so how was he the only one beaming over? And B, does that mean that Prime Lorca died when he got back to the mirror ship?
Yeah.
Did they just instantly kill him when they realized he wasn't the real Lorca? So
imagine how confused that the real Lorca was from Prime Universe when he got into the Mirror Universe. I
really wish they would have shown instead of told, because them telling wasn't super clear. Because I think Lorca said he switched places, but did that mean he just woke up in a different place, or did good Lorca beam?
I don't know. It'd just be literally hilarious to see Lorca, here's, a Starfleet officer all of a sudden with no frame of reference beamed into an evil universe and under attack at the same time by a gigantic ship.
Well, I just don't understand how Mira Lorca could fit in so perfectly and not get noticed.
I like I said before, I think the Mirror Universe are so sly and they're so
Mira
cunning.
Kirk got figured out in no time. They put him in the brig.
Yeah, but
I just
didn't understand.
They're not that sly. I don't seem like they're that. Oh, I mean, Lorca's sly, but I don't know if they're all that sly.
Right. Well, they seem sly at least. But so Lorca tells Stamets that he's going to show him the biological weapon that they've been developing for the Emperor, and then Lorca starts using it to kill the Emperor's soldiers. So they're shooting them down with this weapon that's kind of disintegrating people in a weird way.
Well, no, it's just like a biological weapon. They just die and start puking up stuff.
Yeah. So then we get next is Emperor Georgiou orders Berman to be taken to the brig, and
she's always being ordered to be taken to the brig by Philippa.
Yeah, and Burnham then decides that she's gonna, say, I ain't going to those agonizer booths, and starts kicking her way out and shoots her way through a grate and slides through, and she's out.
Jeffrey's tubes.
Yeah, it's I give her credit for that.
Good thing it wasn't a trash compactor.
That'd be cool if it was a trash compactor.
It's like, Oh no, we're gonna get smushed.
And then we get cut away to the Discovery is en route to the Charon, and Stamets is unable to save the mycelium crop that he has on the ship. It seems like it's dying no matter what.
They're all dead.
And he's basically saying that the mere Stamets has infected and destroyed the crops beyond repair. And he explains that the Terran Empire is using the mycelium network to power the ISS Charon, to give them this huge power. And that's what we're seeing. When we've talked about this, I think the last episode is that giant
ball.
Ball.
It wasn't a sun. It's just like burning mycelium. Like it just.
They compacted all the mycelium into one ball, and then they just set it on fire.
Yeah, it's like maybe they can't go through nebulas either.
I don't know.
I can see that ship having problems going through a nebula if the mycelium's explosive, since it's basically just out except for the containment field. Man.
But where and then when it's explained that the way they're extracting the power from this giant ball of mycelium network, it's poisoning the whole mycelium network, so it's killing all the mycelium, and apparently this is going to kill life throughout.
It's the doomsday machine. It's
the ultimate doomsday.
It'll destroy all life in every possible universe ever. So like they rose the stakes from just the Discovery's crew being in trouble to like the entire world's in trouble. The entire multiverse is in trouble.
Yeah. So then we go back to the Charon, and Lorca goes on shipwide speakers and invites everybody to join him to go against Emperor Philippa and make the Empire glorious again.
We're gonna make the Empire. I think he said great again, like literally Donald Trump of. He
did have a little bit of a Donald Trump thing going on there at the end. He orders that Michael Burnham is not to be touched, and that she is part of his plans. And the Emperor then locks onto Lorca's location and takes all her men and decides she's going to take him out herself. So she comes down with her group down the hallway, and they open fire. We get this pretty cool scene where they have shields, like personal shields, up to keep. Their phaser fire away from the Emperor and her men, and how Stamets is like counting down how much the shield's percentage they have till they blow through it. So yeah. I thought that was a cool thing.
That was a fun touch. The other fun touch was that she has phasers, automatic phasers hidden in the walls.
Yeah, there was little machine gun phasers taking everyone out. And then when Lorca's group gets the upper hand on the fight, Georgiou makes a emergency transport and gets away. Lorca then orders Stamets. He's like, "You knew she could do that, didn't you?" He's like, "I didn't know." He's like, "Can you disable it so she can't do it again?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, fine." And apparently Stamets can do just about everything. So
he's a genius in this universe.
Or in all universes.
Oh, but he's more like a tech genius in this one. Like, he doesn't seem like he's... Oh, I guess he kind of does in this episode, because they're talking about... They do some technobabble in this episode, which is great. That's partly why I said it felt more Star Trek-y, because we finally got some science talk in this episode, which the show's been lacking a lot, for the most part.
Yeah, I agree with that. Next thing we get is Burnham's in the Jeffries tubes and trying to contact Discovery. And after a couple failed success, she gets to Saru on video, and she tells Saru about Lorca. Basically, Lorca has always been Mirror for a long time, and that he's double-crossing us. Then Stamets realizes Lorca altered the coordinates of the final jump and brought them to the Mirror universe. So he used those for how many jumps was it? 30-some jumps?
133.
133 jumps around the Klingon ship of the dead when they were mapping the mycelium network. He used that to basically harvest that information and then get them back to the Mirror universe.
Yeah.
And then she tells that Lorca is basically trying to take over the Palace ship, and then she's worried that Terran Empire is going to try to invade the universe. But Stamets says, don't worry about that, because the mycelium infection is spreading throughout all the universes, and it's going to destroy everything. And
so if we don't stop the Charon, there won't be anything left.
Right, and Stamets says if we fire torpedoes on the ship's, giant globe of mycelium, it should sever the ship's ties to the network and their containment field. But there's like a containment field around it, and they have to get rid of it. But Michael Berman says that she will take that down, so she's going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi and take down the shields so they can fire their weapons.
Yeah, it did feel kind of like Star Wars.
A little Star Wars.
Like a little Star Wars, a little Star Trek Insurrection. No, yeah, Insurrection, yeah.
There's some things going on there. So next we get the Lorca's men. They go into the Emperor's throne room and takes the Emperor's sword. And then he kills Mir Stamets. Kicks him into the...
Oh, no, he doesn't. He's like...
No, he was going to kick him into him, yeah.
He's pretending to. He's pulling a Chekhov's gun that's going to backfire on him. Or he's like, oh, would it be poetic justice for you to just fall into and die in the thing that you created? Oh, I hate poetry. And Landry disintegrates him.
Yeah, just kills him right there. And then Landry tells him that Burnham made an unauthorized transmission to Discovery. Meanwhile, Michael Burnham is making her way through the Charon's deck when Lorca makes a call to her. Sounds like it's ship-wide. I don't know exactly if it is, but...
It's probably ship-wide. He's trying to get her back to the throne room.
And he's just basically saying, hey, we were good together. You really got to come back. And he says, that idealistic social experiment of the Federation, that's garbage. You guys got to get away from that.
It's doomed to fail, and you were great in the sack, too. Just come back.
Yeah, come on back. We had fun. We had fun, baby. And then, but then he...
Baby, it's cold outside.
Yeah, right. I don't want to kill you. So anyways, she basically saying that even when he had the Michael Burnham from the Mir universe and how impressed he was with her when he met the Prime universe Michael, that he was completely blown away that her gifts and brains outdoes the Mir Burnham. So,
she was raised by Vulcan. She's got that going for her.
Vulcan Kung Fu.
Yeah, the Vulcan knowledge. I mean, because she outperformed Vulcans, which is probably an extremely difficult feat to do when it comes to her test scores.
Yeah, she was the lowest in her class.
No, she was the highest in her class.
I know, I'm just joking. Anyways, she just keeps getting angry at everybody. I don't understand.
But he sent Landry after her, and it looks like Landry was going to kill her because her phaser was set on red.
I think Landry was going to take her out, or at least try to, but Michael Burnham kind of rerouted the signal to make it seem like she was at a certain area, and then she took off while they were talking. So
it was a good scene because I was like, oh man, there's gonna be a fight, and then there wasn't.
No fight.
But it made you think like something was gonna happen, but it didn't. It was pretty good.
Made you think there was. Burnham then goes and finds Georgiou and her Emperor's sanctuary, which I guess Lorca thought not to look.
Yeah, I guess so. Her ready room.
Apparently, yeah, her ready room. Yeah,
with her Chateau Picard.
Yeah, she says she's got this bracelet that masks her vital signs. Yeah, so they can't locate her. Burnham tells Georgiou that she doesn't want to have anything to do with Lorca's plan, and she wants to forge her own future. She doesn't want to go into whatever Lorca's plan is.
And she's like, I don't want to let you die. I'm not going to let you die again.
Yeah, it was interesting because, it's like, boy, it seems like it keep on screwing things up no matter what universe I'm in.
And Philippa is kept the badge of Michael Burnham from the Mir universe. And I'm like, really? You both have that in the middle?
Frenzies.
We both have each other's dead person's combat. I mean, not com badge, but just badge, dog tags.
Yeah, dog tags, right. Burnham vows to stop Lorca, and then Georgiou asks what her plan is, and she tells her I have to disable the mycelium orb's containment field,
so
and says,
blow it up.
Yeah, and Georgiou says, well, you can do that in the controls, but they're in the throne room, so you know what they're gonna do.
Oh yeah,
from right there. Stamets then tells
they're gonna die hard it.
They are going to die hard. So back on Discovery, Stamets tells Discovery that the Charon's engines are more complicated than they thought, and that when they have this, when they shoot at the giant mycelium orb, that the spores, when they puncture, it's going to explode and they won't be able to get back home. The shockwave would be too great, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to dodge, or get away from it.
How does a shockwave go faster than warp 5 or 7 or however fast the warp engine?
Network. It's mycelium network. It probably ripples through subspace and everything else. But
yeah.
So it seems like if they do take out this mycelium orb, that this is going to be a one-way ticket. They may save the universe, but they're probably going to kill themselves in the same time.
But Saru gives a good speech.
Gives a nice
speech.
We can do a speech. Basically, that he believes in all their abilities, and he will not accept a no-win scenario. So you better figure out, you scrubs.
Oh yeah, they threw out one no-win scenario a lot in this episode, which also made me feel like, oh look, they're talking about Kobayashi Maru.
You got a little Kirk thing going on there.
Yeah. So that's what made me feel, oh, it's Star Trek-y. They keep referencing this one thing. And I like Saru in this episode. Like, I've really hated him ever since CV's back on Parabellum, but this episode, Saru was good.
Yeah, he's a better. And acting captain, and like you said, we get early on, we get a captain's log by acting Captain Saru. I mean, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, because that's one thing the show's really been missing. Like, we've gotten, 2 logs from Michael and then 1 from Saru. So we've got, 3 logs in 13 episodes. That's not a lot of logs.
No, not a lot of captain's logs or any logs.
Yeah, because in Star Trek, we should get at least 1 log an episode.
Well, back on the Charon, we get Lorca has the ship under his control now, and then Burnham brings the Emperor into the throne room, and Burnham says that she knows that Lorca has a claim to the throne, so he has to kill Georgiou.
Which I don't understand this plan at all, and I don't understand why they just didn't kill her right then and there. It just keeping her alive, it didn't make any sense, narratively.
Yeah, that's a couple more than once that they keep people alive. Like, just kill that person right now. So, but she offers basically Georgiou in exchange to let Discovery leave safely, and she says, I will stay myself. He says, you can have everything, but my body.
You can have my brain, but not my body.
It's like, God damn. Well, let's see how we'll work on that aspect.
If we can get Vok from the Klingon colony, my body might be open to him. Maybe. Can we turn him into Ash Tyler again?
So back on Discovery, Tilly comes to this eureka moment where she thinks she's found a way to solve the problem of the exploding mycelium ball, and she basically says if they ride the mycelium shockwave, they could return as when they destroy the Charon, that they can use the mycelium network and let Stamets navigate home. So basically ride the wave.
Yeah, and this is interesting. So something that's never been stated in Discovery before about why the rings spin. I always guessed that it was like a dispersal system, even though we never really saw anything disperse from the rings going around in circles. But I guess just the fact that they're riding a wave of mycelium, that's good enough to soak the ship in it to let them use the network, I guess.
I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, period, but I just go along with it.
I mean, the spinning things that make a lot of sense unless they were a dispersal system. And if they're riding a wave that's made out of it, that kind of makes sense. That's doing the work of the spinning section.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Then Discovery gets a message from Burnham to drop out of warp. And from there, they go to they're at they see finally the ISS Charon, but a transmission comes from Lorca, and Lorca says, I admire my crew, and he says, I am very sincere, and I admire you, Saru. But
I thought that was going to make one of his people shoot him in the back for saying he admired a Kelpian.
Yeah,
I was scared he was going to get shot in the back by one of his own people. It's like, you said what to a Kelpian?
Yeah, right. He says, that's my dinner.
They're they're food and or slaves.
Yeah, exactly. So then Burnham basically tells him, Lorca tells him first that Burnham's staying there, and she confirms that she's staying behind. Says, this is my place. Saru realizes that she's telling him to aim and fire where she is on the Charon, and they take fire, and they basically start blasting the bridge of the ISS Charon.
It's such a great part of the show. It's so exciting. The action is so great, and Michelle Yeoh gets some slow-fo kung fu type moves. Yeah,
they get a really awesome fight sequence.
I love it, but if it's slow mo, it's only on her when it's slow mo.
Ooh, so the old Matrix style.
Oh yeah, she does some crazy kicks. She kicks Lorca's face when he's standing behind her somehow, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, so we have this Burnham.
She pulls some Crouching Tiger.
Yeah, didn't we have an episode Crouching Tiger or something? Game Boy Butt or something like that. Can't remember.
Yeah, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Game Boy, but yeah.
That was a long time ago. That was like 2 years ago. I don't even remember. Anyways,
That was so funny.
So Burnham basically fighting side by side with Georgiou, not unlike when she was on with the Ship of the Dead with the Klingons, except this is a little more action packed and it's more hand to hand melee kind of fight.
Oh yeah, it was really good.
But the fight basically comes to an end here where Burnham's holding phaser to Lorca, and she says, all you had to do is just ask to get home, and we would have sent you home. And he's like, you don't understand. I didn't want to go home. He says, that's who Starfleet is. He says, that's who Burnham is. She's, I'm not going to kill you now. But Georgiou doesn't feel the same way. And she takes her sword and shoves it right through Lorca's heart. And
I'm sad to see Lorca go.
And then she kicks him into the heart of the mycelium engine, which is
the Chekhov's gun we mentioned earlier.
Pretty cool send off for Lorca if you're going to have a death scene.
Yeah, but it's like he got taken apart. It's like maybe he got transported somewhere. Who knows?
Oh man, you're just hoping to see Lorca again.
I just love Jason Isaacs so much. Can't get rid of Jason Isaacs.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I know. I just want him to be. Discovery's not going to be the same without him. He's by far my favorite character in the show, and for him to just be completely gone is going to be hard.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But then Lorca's troops go into the throne room and they start fighting, and Georgiou say, "Hey, look,
I'll buy you time."
I'm done for it. They're not going to let me live. So, you take down the shields, you get out of here. So Discovery, is basically getting ready to take out the mycelium engine, the giant mycelium ball, and they're trying to beam back Burnham. And right at the last minute, when Burnham signals the Discovery and they're going to beam her back, she runs behind Georgiou, grabs her, and beams Georgiou up with her. He's like, I ain't going to let you die again.
I thought it was interesting that it separated them onto separate transporter pads.
I guess that's the transporter operator's choice. I would imagine. I don't know.
It's just interesting because usually, whenever the girl in Star Trek 4 grabbed Kirk, I think, didn't they beam up together, I think? I don't know.
I think, but it was, Star Trek 4, yeah. She goes, yeah. I think so. I can't remember quite.
Well, there's lots of little Star Trek callbacks in this episode.
Well, then we get this great scene where Discovery goes in and flies straight through the heart of the Charon and just
Landry's
fires.
Like, what are they doing?
Those knuckleheads.
I mean, even though that's not a sun, that ship is still ginormous because it takes several seconds for the Discovery to fly all the way through it.
Oh yeah, and turn around.
Oh yeah, and then as we talked about back when we had Stewart on from Trek Yards, that the Discovery is longer than an Excelsior, or it's longer than the Enterprise E. It's a big ship.
It's a very big ship. Well, so they take out with the containment field around the mycelium orb gone. They fire the torpedoes in, and then the mycelium orb blows up the Charon. And during the explosion, they kick into warp. And while they're kicking into warp, they turn on the mycelium spore drive. It's all up to Stamets now to get them back to where they started.
They did some really weird camera work on Stamets during this scene. It's different than they've ever done before with him.
Right. And, well, not just that, but it was interesting because we're seeing them fly through the mycelium network. So we're seeing all these throobs and stuff like that.
It's like sliders.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Sliders. Yeah, very sliders. And so they're twisting around trying to find his way through. And then he says, he becomes lost in the network. He's basically remembers Culber saying to follow the music and open his eyes. So he opens his eyes and he says, clearing in the forest. And he gets him back on track. And next, Discovery comes out. And they confirm they're in the Alpha Quadrant when they're there. But
he's like, check the date.
Yeah, the date's
Check the date,
not right.
please.
He went a little bit over, and it's 9 months into the future. And yes,
I wasn't sure if it was 9 months in the future or 9 months in the past.
9 months in the future, when they tried to call to the Federation, they cannot make contact with the Federation. And when they bring up the map of the Alpha Quadrant, they discover the Klingons have won the war. And that's where we left at the end of this episode. Very, very fun, exciting episode. I didn't think it was going to take us where we ended up. But so
I thought we had at least one more episode in the Mirror Universe. I was surprised they were able to because since we just got the Lorca reveal last episode, I figured we'd have at least a whole episode of Lorca doing his plan before they got back, and they combined that all into one episode, which was pretty impressive.
Right. So what's past this prologue, Dave? What's your takeaways from this episode?
This episode was great, but at the end, I was like, I am so mad because like it just seems impossible for them to wrap this up within 2 episodes. And the only way they can physically wrap this up in 2 episodes is to invoke time travel again. That's the only way I can see them clearing this up, because the writers and stuff. Oh, I mean, they've lied to us before, but they said it's supposed to be wrapped up in a nice bow by the end of the season, so that it's self-contained, and the next season is its own story. So if they're going to wrap this up in 2 episodes, the only way I can see it happening is time travel, because Klingons never, won a war with the Federation. They didn't take everything over like we see. Not anywhere near close to Kirk's time, like it's supposed to be. Like, none of this makes sense. And I thought they went back 9 months, because if the war's been going on for almost 2 years, and if the Discovery hasn't been in the battle for 9 months, that would have let the Klingons take over. Yeah. I felt it was very ambiguous, because I'm missing the mark. Because if you're going back in time, missing the mark would be prior. And the thing is, if they took Michael out of the, I mean, it might be the future, but thinking about it like this, if it's in the future, that means Mirror Discovery has also been running around, unless it's gotten destroyed already. But
we don't know. We don't know what Mirror Discovery has been doing. So,
but if it's in the past, Mirror Discovery wouldn't be there.
Good point.
Also, if it's in the past, Michael Burnham might not have even been at the.
It would make sense.
Michael Burnham might not even have been at the Battle of Binary Stars, which means the battle wouldn't have happened. Takuma would have rallied all the Klingons under him, given them all cloaking technology, and they could have taken over the war. They could have won the war swiftly, because if that 9-month period Discovery and all its crew was gone.
Yeah, but it's in the future. I mean, I did not get the impression they went back in time.
I didn't get the impression. I didn't get the impression they were clear either way.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I mean, it was a great episode, but I just don't understand. I mean, but in the thing, even if it doesn't matter if they're in the past or the future at this point, because no matter what, the only way I can see them fixing this is by time traveling again. You know what I mean? Because either they lied to us the entire time, and Discovery's in a different universe. It's not Prime. It's not Kelvin. It's its own separate universe, because that's how I felt at the end of this episode. Like, either they lied to us that this is not, it's never been the Prime universe, it's never been the Kelvin universe, it's its own thing, or they're gonna have to time travel again to fix everything.
Yeah.
What about you? What were your big thoughts at the end?
Well, especially the end, it brings up all these thoughts now. So it's like, okay, so obviously them not coming back at the same point where they left throws off the whole Klingon war, and this obviously is now another parallel universe. It's not the same universe they came. Although we're still in the Prime universe, it's just in the future. So now we're talking about alternate universes that stem off from decisions. So if they go back to when they left, or however they decide,
I think they're probably going to go back.
Well, they have to, or we're going to see
before Battle of Binary Stars. I think they're going to have to do that.
They're going to have to, or they're going to rewrite all of Star Trek history right there, just like we saw with the 2009, JJ reboots. So
I mean, yeah, it could. It's almost like they jumped into the mirror universe where the Federation is lost, like in the future, where Spock messed everything up.
Well, but that's not the case. I mean, this is just they said they're definitely in their universe. I mean, I guess they're the quantum test like they did before.
Yeah, the quantum signature. Mm-hmm.
And they're definitely in the Alpha Quadrant. It's just that they're too far off, and whatever happened, the Federation got their asses handed to them. So they have two choices. I mean, either, like you said, they go back in time, they fix it somehow, or they go forward, or they start jumping around in parallel universes. I don't know. I've had a suspicion that this is what this Discovery is going to be doing. That it isn't going to be bound by traditional storytelling after this season. They're going to jump around to different alternate universes. I really wonder if that's how this is going to play out.
Because maybe there's, because if it is like Sliders, maybe there is a universe with the same quantum signature, but it's not their universe still. I don't know. Like,
we'll just think of all the different things in history you could just revisit. constantly, or not just history, but just different versions of each other and all sorts of weird things that could have happened. So,
the Discovery getting lost in time and space would be a good reason why it never showed up ever again.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's tons of questions to be asked here, but the reality is, how do they go back in time and fix this Klingon, victory?
Just go to the nearest star and warp around it.
Yeah, that's easy.
Well, if you go back to the episode we did, the one we did right before Discovery started. So in Assignment Earth, they act like looping around the star and going back in time is normal back then. And the Kirks used it so often. It seems like time travel is absolutely normal in the 23rd century. And then after the 23rd century, they established the Temporal Prime Directive, which prohibits that. But I mean, that's really all they have to do is find a star, loop around it, and put in some numbers. Stamets can put in some numbers. He transcends time and space with his tardigrade DNA. I mean, he's your Spock as far as for you being your genius to be able to calculate this. Or maybe Michael Burnham. Maybe she's gotten the time travel logic since she was top in her Vulcan class. I mean, it doesn't take much to time travel in Star Trek, apparently. Some math and a star.
Right. Well, they make it seem easy. As I think it was the Deep Space Nine when the Temporal Police came and talked to Sisko, and they made the comment about how often Kirk broke the, went back in time and changed things.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny.
But in Assignment Earth, it was normal. It was like they were like, yeah, we're just checking up on the 1960s just as a normal routine mission from Starfleet.
Yeah, they're just checking things out.
That makes no sense, but it's there. It's canon. It happened, and so they could easily just do a sun time loop. They don't need the spore drive to go back in time anymore.
That's true, but do they know how to do this before Kirk's time?
I feel like
we never saw it with Archer. Not that I remember.
No, but we're within 10 years of Kirk, so the knowledge of doing this didn't seem like out there to them. It's that's normal. Oh, that's how they acted. Anyway.
Yeah. just slingshot around the sun. The other thing is the we said, there's a very action-packed episode. I mean, huge moments where, obviously Lorca gets completely incinerated and killed. Stamets gets killed.
Or hopefully just spore jump somewhere. Got my fingers and my eyes crossed.
Yeah, you can always, hold on to hope there, Dave.
I need more Jason Isaacs in Star Trek. I love him. He's my favorite character.
We get this little, I don't know if you want to call it Easter egg, but whatever they want to show is that little green glowing particle of mycelium lands on Tilly's shoulder. That has to be something.
Oh yeah, that was so pronounced. It's got to be something.
It's obvious, right? So
I was saying before we started, maybe she turns into a tardigrade.
yeah, exactly.
No, everyone loves Tilly. We're going to lose Tilly because she's going to turn into a tardigrade. Oh man.
Well, if Stamets hasn't turned into a tardigrade yet, I don't think Tilly will. But what we do see is what's interesting is that the mycelium network seems like it's shot. They don't have anything left for the crops.
Oh yeah, they can't jump anymore because they said they use all the remaining spores for the torpedoes to blow up the spore sun.
Right. So because of this, like I said before, I think at the last episode I talked about how that culture of mycelium network is destroyed, so they'll have to grow a new one. But obviously they just can't grow one overnight. It's going to probably take months. Maybe
her clothes just turns into a bunch of mycelium. They can make one more jump. Yeah. That one little thing just grows, totally converts her clothes into mycelium. And Mary Wiseman.
It'd be hilarious if she's got mushrooms. And
her clothes fall off, and she's got run to a quarters with her hands all over, like Koshi did that one episode. Just because
you're hoping for that.
Just hoping for hopes because.
Yeah, mine is more of that she's walking around like she's like some Rastafari and going, yeah, man, I got the mushrooms you want, man.
Like it's growing out of her clothes and she's smoking her own clothes.
Yeah, she's constantly tripping balls,
I'd like to see Tilly tripping balls too. That would be kind of fun.
That would be funny.
Although running around with her arm over would be fun too, but
it's all fun.
It's all fun.
Yeah, so that's little whatever hint what's going to happen. Obviously, some kind of hope I would think for the future for the mycelium network and the spore drive to come back and save the day at some point. So, but how are they going to do that without it? Like I said, there's no way they can grow a new crop that fast.
I'm excited to see the next episode. All I'm scared it's going to be another bridge episode. You know what I mean?
You mean like sit on the bridge constantly, or what?
No, just like how the Wolf Inside felt like a bridge episode, like nothing really happened. Because I feel like nothing's going to really happen next episode. I'm scared that's going to happen because we've got one more episode left after it, and they can't fix everything next episode. So and then they're also talking to L'Rell, like they showed in the preview that they're talking to L'Rell. I'm like, how is that going to help with the Klingon war when they've won? Because they just told her in the previous episode that she lost.
Yeah, right.
And now they're jumping into a universe where they've won, but they're talking to her. But I just don't know how that's going to help them in their situation. Because, like I said, the only way I can think of that they could fix this is time travel. Unless they're not going to fix it and they're going to be in their own universe that's separate from the Prime altogether.
It's something, too, I've been thinking a lot about is that a lot of people are angry that that Discovery looks more like JJ verse than it does any of the previous TV shows or movies, and I have to agree. And talking about, like we were talking about, I think Trek Yards did the whole thing about the JJ Enterprise compared to Discovery makes a little more sense size-wise.
Well, from a size perspective, yes, but like when you look at like the decaling and the just the way the ships are textured, they're textured completely different in Discovery. Like Discovery almost seems like at this point seems like it's almost its own thing. Like from a size perspective, I get where they're going, where like it makes more sense from a size perspective. But if you just look at the ships, like they don't look anything like the JJ ship when you look at the texturing and all that stuff. The Shinzu and Discovery look a lot like each other when you look at the texturing. Yeah,
but I guess what my point is by bringing this up is not just that, but also like when you look at Chris Helmsworth's uniform before he dies facing Nero's ship. I mean, the uniform is very similar to Discovery's era uniform. So,
well, I mean that uniform on the Kelvin is also just an iteration. Like, what's the future version of Enterprise's uniform? And it could be the same thing with Discovery too. I mean, they're just carrying over the Enterprise blue.
Well, I'm not saying there isn't any connection. I'm just saying like it seems to me that maybe these things are all kind of working together, and maybe this is a great way for them to rewrite the JJ universe's story and set everything back to zero. I mean, it's a possibility with everything that they're doing here. So I don't know. Speculation purely that they're with everything different. Maybe Discovery's universe or whatever Prime universe is not technically the same Prime universe that we from the original series into Voyager.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm thinking, I'm starting, like, depending on how these next two episodes resolve, I'm very convinced. I'm thinking that they're not really in the Prime universe, or I feel like they're in their own separate universe. It's its own thing.
It's definitely feeling like that. I mean, I'm not saying that that's the case, but I don't know. It's feeling more and more like there's something else going on here that we're not. The fact that they have this mycelium network that's been discovered, they have a spore drive and they're making it work, and then we don't get any kind of hint of this in the future, either means that this technology is lost forever or never was invented in the other universes.
Well, that's why I'm thinking they went back in time. Like, they removed Discovery from... By going back in time, they removed all the things Discovery did for the Klingon War.
Mm-hmm.
And by removing everything they did for the Klingon War, it made them lose. Because they couldn't save Donovan 2 or whatever it was, what the dilithium mine was. They lost all these different things because Discovery wasn't there, because they went back in time. But I feel like they're going to have to go back in time again to fix it. I don't know. It's hard to tell what they're doing at this point, honestly.
Yeah, I mean...
super hard to speculate.
It is very hard to speculate, especially what they're facing. Obviously the Klingons taking over all the Federation. Who knows what that would look like? I mean, if the Klingons won over the Federation, you're talking mass executions and enslavement, and it would not be a pretty sight.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And what would how could you just I don't think you just turn back the clock without that having a huge impact on even future shows like, the original series and Next Generation. I mean, that would have been talked about how the Klingons just, kicked the Federation's ass and the Federation was ready to collapse. I mean, we never heard about this. So this, which is
why it's either in another universe or they're going to have to use time travel to fix it.
Yeah, I mean,
is there a third option? I can't think of one.
Well, like I said, it's either they move ahead into like the future of this parallel universe, and they never go back, or they never fix it, or they do go back in time somehow and fix it, or they somehow use the mycelium network and they just start jumping around parallel universes, or they go back in time further and they totally stop the war from even happening.
I mean, Stewart, that's sort of Stewart's and Trekyard's theory, that they're just going to like go back in time and just retcon the entire season.
Right.
Which to me is the only way they can fix this, honestly, I think.
Yeah, I don't get it, but man.
Which is, I mean, I think it's incredibly ballsy and just odd that you'd make an entire season and then retcon it immediately. Because I love some non sequitur episodes, like Year of Hell Part 1 and 2. They're a lot of fun, but ultimately they're disappointing because they didn't ever happen. It's kind of like, that was fun, but then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean, but
I feel like it's going to make Discovery not as rewatchable as the other shows. What do you think about that?
That's an interesting point. So if it never means anything, if they wipe the slate clean and this is a mulligan, and they get to do it over again by going back in time, or somehow the mycelium network takes them back to a return point that they can fix everything.
And prevent the war from happening, because I think I either mentioned this with you. I definitely mentioned it with Guy on one of our look back episodes that's not out yet for the YouTube channel. But I feel like there wasn't a war at this point in time, not 10 years before Kirk.
Right, and that's exactly. I mean, it was supposed to have taken place like 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 years before Kirk. So, I mean, technically that's what Axanar was about.
Yeah,
so,
Garth of Izar stuff. So
yeah, and basically the fight against the Klingons. So, that's the thing, is there's a lot of like little like nuance of Star Trek history that was never on screen, of course, but it's basically, if you look back at everything logically, all the points, all the vector points that go back, that
it doesn't. The show doesn't line up.
Right. Exactly. And so either the producers just, flub the whole thing. I can't believe they would flub it with all the freaking, people out there that know so much shit about Star Trek, I don't know.
And they said season 2, like, things will start making more sense with canon. So, I mean, I've been trying my best to agree with them that, yes, this is Prime Universe, but they keep doing things like maybe it's its own universe, or.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we can only really wait and see. I mean, they've been doing a good job with the show. I enjoy it, but at the same time, if the entire season is a non sequitur, it's just going to be like, I'll just skip season 1. I'll just watch season 2.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I mean, other than unless you're just looking for a cool story to watch. I mean,
but it's not going to be like, look, there's a random Star Trek episode. I'll just put this on. Like, you're not going to watch it like you watch old Star Trek. Like, you could like flip through Netflix or whatever your streaming platform is, or Star Trek is, and just like, I want to watch this episode, and you watch it. No, that was fun. Like, like with the podcast that we do, we basically just pick random episodes. Like, hey, this will be fun to watch.
Right.
But with Discovery, we can't really do that. I mean,
no, you gotta start from beginning.
I guess we could, but I mean, it wouldn't feel right.
Yeah, a show taken out of just by itself doesn't stand by itself.
It'd be like just talking about the 6th episode of the 2nd season of Game of Thrones, just out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It might be enjoyable to watch, but you're going to be like, wait, who's that guy, and what is that about? And yeah. Well, that brings. Yeah, it brings back to just the thing is that if they do go back in time and do a mulligan and they fix it, if they go back in time by the time they departed, everything will be fine.
That way, before they departed, they could arrest Lorca. They could Section 31 could question him, maybe make him an operative. We can keep Lorca, and then we've got Philippa back, because she is back with Michael.
Yeah, but she's evil, Philippa. It's never going to be normal.
But depending on how far back they go back in time, we might have 2 Philippas. We can get Huber back. We can maybe keep, maybe have at least either good or evil Lorca around. Who knows? I mean, they could just do so many things. We could have Ash Tyler back being normal, so Shazad Latif can be a regular next season. I mean, there's lots of stuff they could do.
Yeah, I wonder if Filippo, every time she sees Saru, she starts getting hungry. I hope they make a joke about that.
They've got to do something. If she's there and like he's the acting captain, oh my gosh.
Hilarious.
With her attitude toward, oh yeah, we're having some Kelpian for dinner.
Yeah.
Saru, can you donate some of your threat ganglia? They just taste so good.
So good.
Do they grow back? Can we just take them off?
So, yeah, anyway, so there's a lot of things to think about. I mean, within 2 episodes, either they got to figure out or be on the road to figure out those things before we get to, season 2. And like we said, season 2 is practically going to be a whole year.
Yeah, I think they're giving us a long shot. I mean, maybe they'll start in September again with episodes and keep it going until February or March like they're doing this year. I think they gave us that year deadline as to not give us too short a time because they got burned by pushing back the date almost a year, the original time. So I think by giving like a long estimate, they're just saving their own butt from not having to push it back.
Right.
So if it comes out sooner, it'll be a happy surprise. I mean, God, I hope it'll come out sooner than February of 2019. I'll be like pulling out my hair, especially if the season ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so on other things, I mean, just to be interesting, obviously, like you said, we have ex-Emperor Georgiou facing people like Saru and Laurel. So that's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. Obviously,
is she gonna let a bullion cut her hair? Who knows?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And obviously she's basically evil. Could she ever acclimate to a Federation world where everyone's trying to be in peace and harmony and coexist together? I don't see how that could happen. So I would imagine that she's going to have to die somehow.
No, they can put her in Section 31.
You just want to throw everyone in Section 31.
Section 31's where it's at, man. There's no place for her in Starfleet. There's honestly no place for her in Starfleet.
There isn't.
With her moral ambiguity and her superiorness to other races, the only place she could thrive would be Section 31.
Yeah, right, exactly.
There's no way they could put her in charge of a Federation ship. There's no way.
Or she goes into retirement on Risa.
Yeah, she could do that. But there'd be too many aliens on Risa. I don't think she'd be happy. I think she needs to go to Section 31 and teach them all ninja skills.
Oh, okay. This is how I killed thousands of people. So
check out these ninja stars. They just go through people's heads. They're just like butter.
Right. It's just like butter. Just like I like to put on Saru's ganglia.
I like to dip his ganglia in butter.
So anyways, so that's an interesting side thing. And obviously Laurel and whatever Ash Tyler is now, Vok Ash Tyler, that's got to play out in the next 2 episodes.
I don't even know if it's going to. I feel like they just dead-ended it last episode. I don't even know what they can...
Come on, that didn't go nowhere for no reason.
I don't know.
And then we have, obviously Michael Berman's going to confront Ash Tyler, Vok, or whatever that he is now at some point. And
they don't have time for romance. They gotta fix the Klingon War.
No time for love, Dr. Jones.
I got mad at the TV. I love the episode, but like I said, I got mad at the TV because I'm just like, how are they going to wrap this up in 2 episodes?
I don't think they are.
It's going to be like that Green Lantern Star Trek crossover. It's just going to be like, oh my God. And then they're just going to wrap it up in like 2 seconds. And it's going to be like, oh.
I don't think so. Because, we see that from the teaser that they run into, Admiral Cornwell and
Sarek.
I forgot somebody. Yeah, Sarek, yeah. So obviously there's some kind of resistance still happening with the Federation against the Klingons, so I don't know how they're going to do it, but...
Well, that's what I think. I think next episode they're going to be, like, piddling around, like, oh, man, we got to just, how to deal with this, and then the next episode is like, oh, wait, we'll just time travel and fix it. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like they're going to be dragging their heels in the next episode, because they can't fix... I mean, unless they do fix the next episode, and then the next episode is just, like, a wrap-up, and, what happens to everybody, you know what I mean? Like, maybe maybe they do the time travel thing next episode, and then the last episode we see how that shifts everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, like as an epilogue, because Voyager desperately needed an epilogue to what happened, and it didn't get one. It was just like, oh, look, we're home, and that's all there was. I was like, what? No,
right.
There's no aftermath, no epilogue, and so I would love to see Star Trek a season get like an epilogue, like, you know, wrap everything up for the season so it can transition to a next season nicely.
Yeah, hopefully.
Or cliffhanger. We'll be pulling out our hair for you know, a year.
A year, right. Then we also have, you know, who's going to be, is Saru going to be promoted as captain after that? And, you know, there's a lot of questions there. Like, what becomes of Discovery if, you know, obviously, I'm assuming Discovery survives.
Well, they got to go back in time because they gotta make Michael not a mutineer, because Spock said there were no mutineers in Starfleet.
Mm-hmm. Again, this just points to me is like this cannot be our prime universe that we know. Something changes. So either they go far back in time, or I don't know. It's too confusing.
It's weird. We're kind of floored, and we're usually pretty good about, you know, projecting where things are going to go, and now it's just kind of like, it's got to be one or the other, but who knows?
Like you said, either they go back and they do a mulligan and they fix everything, and the Klingon War either never happens, or somehow they give them the codes so they can see through their cloaking devices, and they, you know, beat the pants off the Klingons, and it was never turned into a war. It just turned into a skirmish on the borders. But then then you're in a paradox, because everything that happened with, you know, Michael Berman and Georgiou, Captain Georgiou. I mean, then did she die, and did, you know? I don't know. There's too many questions right there. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they can wrap all that up. And I just couldn't think of them raising the stakes any higher, because I figured, because I originally was like, there'll be the Mirror Universe for one more episode, and then they'll get back next week, and then they'll wrap things up with the Klingon War then. And now they got back from the Mirror Universe this episode, and now the stakes have just been risen through the roof. The Klingons have beaten the Federation, which makes no sense canonically.
Canonically, it doesn't make any sense. And then if you do go back in time past the 9 months where they've been missing, and like, let's say they go back and they go to just before the Battle of Binary Stars, and, you know, they give them the information to see through their cloaking devices, then you have a paradox that can't happen. So something's weird going to happen there, or they go back to where it was 9 months before. I don't know. It's the whole thing is just bizarre. Or they go forward through this time period, and it's revealed that this is not the prime universe.
Yeah, but that would like seriously limit spin-off potential and sequel potential.
Not really. I mean, you could just turn it into a whole world as itself, and I don't know, man. If they do that too, fan fallout will go fucking berserk.
Yeah. They need to kind of make things pretty again by the end of the season so that people don't lose their minds.
People are already losing their minds. It's really, really difficult.
It's true. People are losing their minds. I mean, I'm not going to be upset, you know, if it's in a third universe. I said this a long time ago before the show even came out, that I was scared it was going to be in a third universe, and I didn't think it would be smart because I felt like it would divide the fans. But like, I mean, fine, whatever. If it's a third universe, I mean, it's not gonna break the series to me. It's just gonna make me upset that the fan base is fractured again.
Right. Well, that's the thing.
That's what it comes down to me. Like the fan base can be crazy toxic at times between the two different timelines, and if they make a third timeline, it's just gonna divide the fans, and that's what's gonna make me upset. I don't care as long as we get more Star Trek on TV. Or CBS All Access, whatever it is. More Star Trek's good. I'm enjoying the show, and so I would like to see more of it. But the only thing that's going to disappoint me if this is a third universe is that the fan fallout's going to be unfortunate.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, there's already fan fallout anyways, no matter what. So Discovery haters are going to hate it no matter what.
Sure.
Some people have listened to us and say that we, are too negative on the show. I don't think we're negative about the show. I think we're just realistic. There's some things that are awesome, and there's some things that are just like,
yeah.
That episode could have been better. I mean,
this episode was absolutely amazing. I think it was better than last episode. I loved last episode, but at the same time, as much as I love these last two episodes, they've made me angry. I'm like, why is Lorca Mira? That makes no sense. His plan was too convoluted for him to be, but he talked about how he believed in fate and stuff like that. So I guess that kind of whitewashes how convoluted his plan was to get back. Oh, it was fate. It was fate. Okay, whatever.
Well, I mean, he can call it fate just because he felt like he's gone across so many, miles to get to where he was. It seems like fate, but,
It's just so convoluted. I just don't know how his plan worked out so perfectly to get him point A to B. It's really far-fetched.
Yeah.
That he's Mirror Lorca, that everything worked out perfectly. Like, how did he get the Discovery? Like, I really wish, like, this episode would have focused on, like, how Lorca got in, how Lorca got the Discovery. Like, all these things had to fall perfectly into place. Like, he lost the Baran. He could have gotten, some other ship. He could have gotten the Gagarin. You know what I mean? Like, he could have gotten any ship. How did he get Discovery? You know what I mean? Like, so many things had to fall perfectly into place for Mirror Lorca to get back. It's unfathomable.
Yeah.
Unless he was part of Section 31 and he just asked for it. But we still haven't gotten any clarification on that. Because if he was Section 31, he'd be like, give me the ship. And they could have just given it to him. But we don't know. Without that, his plan is just so convoluted. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, maybe more will get, revealed over next 2 episodes.
Well, but Lorca's dead. With Lorca dead, they have no reason to talk about it anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like, if you kill it, then it's no longer a problem. You don't have to talk about it anymore. And there's the old axiom, show don't tell, and they kind of showed a little bit, but there was only like a second of his ship flying away, and then he was mostly just talking about it. I really would have liked to see what happened back then.
Yeah, I don't know, but interesting stuff. No, nonetheless, it was a very exciting episode, and I can't say anything negative about it. I think there's a couple things like
I think most of our problem is we're scared of where it's going. The episode was great. We're just concerned about where the show is going and if it's going to fragment the fan base. I think that's our concern right here.
Well, but see, my other feeling is that the fan base is fragmented anyways. I mean, other than there's some people just don't like Discovery for what Discovery is. Either they don't like the tone it has, or they don't like, the look it has because it doesn't seem to fit into canon with the look. Or some people, don't like the idea that they have to pay for all access. It's turned a lot of people off.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all sorts of different factors why people don't like Discovery. And some of them are valid arguments. I mean, I'm not going to say that there aren't all valid arguments. It just, when you get down to brass tacks, Discovery's a good show. It's a fun show. It's exciting. The acting's good. The effects are good. I think I've said before, I think the science is a little light. I think the hope aspect is not there often. I think this episode was one where we felt like, Saru was like, I won't accept a no-win scenario. We're going to fix this. And that's what we want from our heroes. You don't expect Superman to go flying in and goes like, I couldn't figure it out, guys. I'm going home back to the Fortress of Solitude, and flies away. No, Superman figures that shit out. That's why he's the superhero. It's like we follow these people because they are the heroes, and maybe they fall down during the story, but at some point they succeed, and that's why we tune in.
And that's why I felt like this episode felt more like Star Trek. We got some sciencey talk when they talked about how to integrate the spore drive with the warp drive to do this and that, and we had a Saru log. We had like this feeling of, hope, and like, the first time in the series, Lorca challenged the Federation, the ideals of the Federation, because that's what the writers have been talking about since before. They said this season's going to challenge what the Federation is and how you earn what the Federation is. Mm-hmm. Earn that peace, earn that utopia. And so this is this is literally the first time it's been challenged in the entire series, where our previous captain has said, "Oh, this is going to fail. This is and then lo and behold, it failed when they got back."
Right. Well,
so it's interesting thematically what they're doing with it.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot to be said about Discovery. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Discovery has its bad points, but also has some really fascinating points and stuff that they've done. So, I mean, I think where Discovery falls down a little bit is like the Ash Tyler Vach and the Lorca Mirror Universe Lorca. It's telegraphed a little too like apparent. Like everyone's like, oh, Ash Tyler's Vach.
Yeah.
Lorca is, Mirror Universe. I mean, people were all like saying that for, since probably what? The fifth or fourth episode.
And
people were like wondering.
And some people have been calling there'd be a time jump, and lo and behold, we've got a time jump. I mean, I laughed whenever Stamets was like, "Oh, we got to check and see what time we're in."
Yeah,
because I'm like, people have been calling a time jump for a while.
Right.
And I'm just like, that's hilarious. I laughed. I was like, It's like they're not. It's like everyone's calling all the things, and it's working out. And in a way, I kind of like that, but in a way, it's like it's almost too predictable. It's like in the middle. Like it's like this, it's all the reasons I hated episode 8. It's like they didn't follow any of the plot lines. Well, in Star Trek, they're following through with the things they've been hinting at, which is good. But at the same time, they've almost been hinting them too hard.
Well, like I think the biggest shock to me, probably through the whole series so far, was when Dr. Culber got his neck, twisted and killed. I mean, there were times where I was like, like that was a cool scene or that was an interesting part, but that was really shocking.
Yeah, that was shocking, and them getting back to Prime Universe this episode was shocking to me.
How do you mean that? How do you mean that was shocking? You didn't think they were going to do it?
Well, I thought they would be in the Mirror Universe for at least another full episode.
Oh, thank God they weren't.
I'm glad they weren't, but I'm just saying I thought they were going to be, which is why that's why I'm saying this episode surprised me that they did plan to get home this episode.
Right. Well, oh, jeez. I mean, there's a lot of questions to go over, and there's a lot of, hopefully we get some answers in the next 2 episodes, but man, it's coming down to like, I don't think they can tie this all up at once.
That's going to be tough to tie up in 2 episodes. I think it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they raised the stakes so much again in this episode.
Do you think they'll show like an Earth besieged by Klingons? I mean, I saw the map, but I couldn't really see where everything was. It was just kind of like basically like Klingons.
It looked all red.
Yeah. Looked pretty red. So
I don't know. I don't know if we'll have time to go and see like a besieged Earth. It sounds like they're like hiding out on some kind of space station the Klingons didn't know about. Maybe that's where Section 31 comes in. Who knows? I don't know. Like some secret hideout, because that's what it looked like. Because they were in like a council room. So, or maybe the Klingons thought it was derelict and they just didn't destroy it or something. I don't know.
Right.
Like I said, I feel like next episode's going to be like a bridge. They kind of like they're going to try to figure things out, and then it's not going to happen, and then they'll wrap it all up in the last episode. That's my guess.
Yeah, it seems to make sense. They do like information gathering. They make all the plot points in this, and then they go and they fix everything or best they can. So
yeah, what do you guys think? If you're part of the Facebook group, I'd love to hear some conversation about this once this is posted. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you think's going to happen with Star Trek Discovery?
Yeah, definitely let us know what your predictions are, because holy moly, this is some uncharted territory, and I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like this. Maybe Dominion War, we saw a little bit of this going on, but it seems crazy. Like the Federation could completely collapse, and then what timeline are we in? Yeah,
it's interesting. I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, me too.
Well, all our music is provided by Warp 11. You can find them at warp11.com or Warp 11 on Twitter, but our intro is provided by Dave Wilkes. On Twitter, you can find me personally at David_J_Duncan, and the show is at Synthaholic Duo.
I'm at Blackbird 2004, and if you can, please go to Apple iTunes, rate and review us. 5 stars are so nice, and write something nice about us. We like that. It helps us be seen by more people, but when you rate and review us. Also, if you have some money, please throw it our way. Go to Patreon.com/Synthaholics. A little bit of cash helps us keep the site going and keep the podcast wheels turning nice and greasy.
Absolutely. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Synthaholics, where you can find the podcast. And you can also find Cooking with EU drink cocktail tutorial videos, as well as our Star Trek Discovery lookbacks, which are staggered and they're behind, but video content discussion with past guests. It's me and a past guest each episode.
Very fun stuff. And definitely, if you have a friend, let them know about the YouTube channel, let them know about the podcast, and, share them if you can. People are interested in Star Trek or podcasts or drinking. Yeah. Or other debaucheries that we get into.
Absolutely. And don't forget to check out the Facebook group, like I mentioned earlier, facebook.com/groups/Synthaholics, so you can let us know what you thought of this episode. Where do you think it's going? I'd love to hear your ideas and theories for what's happening with the future of this series.
Absolutely. We would love to hear anything, yes. what you got to say, because it seems like fan theories pretty much predict what's actually happening.
They've been paying off so far, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you all so much for listening. Live long and prosper, one and all.
In the sink, and we'll cry till we laugh, and we'll both shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend I ever
it called? Oh, the cat and the Doctor Who guy.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of the episode.
Why'd you throw that at me like that? Jesus. Because my brain is thinking about something completely else. Assignment Earth.
Okay, yeah. So